This conference will now be recorded.
It usually says it's recording. Is it recording?
Yes.
Joshua looks concerned.
No, it
Usually
it's
says
recording.
out
It just does usually say it.
It does usually say it out loud.
And you usually have a red dot.
This meeting is now being recorded, is what it usually says.
I don't have yours.
Oh, I know.
This conference will
Would
now
have
be
been there's a red
recorded.
dot on the screen, Jenny.
Usually there is one.
Yeah.
That's always good. The lights go off, we don't call it immediately because they might come right back on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, is that, looks like it.
Looks like it's recording. Okay. I am calling to order the first meeting of 2024, January 9th of the Coupeville Town Council. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. Okay, I do have two changes to the agenda. I'm removing our presentation this evening. The folks that were coming from Beaver Tail were coming from LaConner, and I did not want them to make that drive in this windstorm, and also, especially because it's dangerous, but also in case it got canceled for a power outage. So we will reschedule them for another time. And then the second change is I need to remove item number 5, the purchase and sale agreement. We've worked really hard on that, but it just wasn't ready for presentation this evening. So we will hopefully have that on the next agenda also.
Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
But what were the Beaver Tales Coffee people going to present about?
They are planning to open a coffee shop on the end of the wharf, but they have this whole idea of a cultural center, a bunch of different ideas, artists, and they wanted to tell us about it. Okay, does the council have any changes to the agenda? Okay, then the agenda will stand approved as amended. Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes of our last meeting, which was 4 weeks ago on December 12th?
Looks good.
Looks good. Those are Chris's first minutes. Go, Chris.
Good job.
Okay, so those will be approved as submitted. Mayor's report. You would think I would have a long one after 4 weeks, but I really don't. Because the last 4 weeks have included a lot of staff vacations, the office being closed a couple times. You know, we're down 2 positions that we're looking for right now. So everyone has been pitching in, and I mean everyone in town hall and Joe's crew also. Joshua is doing a wonderful job of keeping the planning department moving along. Lisa, Chris, Crystal, and Heidi, Joe's public works clerk, has been helping. They have formed a really tight team, and they are learning new responsibilities and taking on new tasks and helping each other out. It's been wonderful. We had a fun staff Christmas breakfast at Callan's a week or two before Christmas that everyone seemed to enjoy. Pat and Mark happened to walk into Callan's to have breakfast at the exact same time we were all there. So Pat came in and said hi. That was really fun. It was really nice of them. They closed off the side chandelier room for us, and we had the whole room to ourselves, and it was really fun. I have had some good interviews for our open positions. We're having a second interview with a candidate for the planning director position this Friday. So Jackie and Jenny, I had hoped to have a second interview with a clerk treasurer candidate tomorrow. She emailed me today and said that after consideration, she does not feel that this is the right move for her at this time. So she has bowed out. So unfortunately, we do not have that interview for tomorrow, but thank you very much for being willing to help with that. So on Friday, our interview team will be Councilman Powell, Jen Wright, and then Donna Keeler is going to also come back again for that.
Do you have a time for that yet?
11?
11?
Yep. 11. Is that right, Jenny? 11.
That's what
Yeah. Okay, administratively and fiscally, we've been doing a lot of work getting ready for year end. I mean, I know year end has technically happened, but we can pay invoices for 2023 through the end of January. So we're all checking all of our responsibilities to try and make sure we get all of those bill invoices in for 2023. And at the same time, this month already, we've been paying some really large bills for 2024, because the annual insurance payment, annual permits, annual membership fees, they all come in January. So we've been processing some large invoices. We've been moving records to archives, making room for 2024 files. The new payroll is all set up for 2024. Crystal has gotten that all done with everybody's new benefits and the 3% COLA raise you have approved. We've got Chris's workspace all done as of today. The crew came in and did some touch up on our walls and painting and moved some file cabinets and some overhead storage for us. So we've been making changes to the clerk treasurer's office and the conference room, and just trying to do some basic cleanup in town hall and get that space looking a little bit more professional and using our space as efficiently as we can. I just wanted to let you guys know that Springbrook and VTech, our software and our security companies, have been very helpful during this transition time. All of us have been calling them with questions, and they've been helping us keep our work moving along. I do want to let you know, though, that the thing I have been pushing for 6 months, I am delaying. I had hoped to start a new business license, hoped to maybe have that in place by February, and I had really, I had pushed the Department of Revenue to make that happen. They usually say they take 6 to 8 months, and I said, oh, yeah, no, we got to get it done sooner than that. But now I've backed off of that and said to them, hey, we're kind of short on staff. We will keep moving along, but I think it'll be at least a couple months later than expected. And they're good with that. I wanted to let you know that it's January 9th, and we already have the Muscle Fest special event application, the Water Festival special event application, and I will be working on Chris with these, as these are his new responsibilities, and I cannot tell you how excited I am about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I did something fun last week. I was part of a panel for the Leadership Whidbey class. This is their 4th class of Leadership Whidbey. They have about 20 students. It was an interesting panel. It was me and a member of the South Whidbey School Board and a member of the Oak Harbor City Council. So had all the island covered, but with different elected officials. And so they wanted us, and it was a really kind of all over the place topics. They wanted us to talk about housing, and they wanted us to talk about communicating with our constituents, and they wanted us to explain, to each give an example, which we could all very easily do, about the restraints that government officials work under, that the average citizen is not aware of. So in other words, why can't we do everything everybody wants done today? And so that was really fun. We had some fun examples for that, and you could tell by the look on the students' faces that they just had no idea the kinds of constraints and rules we work under. But it was a fun panel. So coming up before our next meeting, the office is closed on Monday, January 15th for Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. On January 17th, I've already notified you guys of this, but a reminder that there will be 2 virtual public meetings with WSDOT about the ferries. Now, I can't imagine, they're public meetings. I can't imagine what they're going to tell us. But interestingly, I heard on the news last night, on the King 5 News, that they are officially saying we're not going to have any more new ferries until 2028.
2028?
Yep. Oh. And so and they said on the news last night, all of the schedules that we've been operating under for, 3 years now since COVID, they've been calling them temporary schedules. Those are the schedules now. That's it. So Coupeville, Clinton and Mukilteo are still planning to have 2 ferries, but the Port Townsend and Coupeville ferry will be 1 ferry. So we'll see if they have anything new to say at that meeting. I just don't know what that would be. And then on January 18th, the Coupeville Historic Waterfront Association is holding their annual member meeting in the rec hall at 5 o'clock. They haven't had a member meeting for a long time. The town is a member, So I'm just letting you know, if you would like to go to that meeting, you're welcome to come.
Where is it, January 18th?
January 18th, 5 o'clock, the rec hall. And that is the end of my mayor's report. Anybody have any questions? Okay. So this agenda, I know it looks like it's killer, but we will, I don't think it will be that long. I want to tell you, we'll start right out before, oh, Joe's here, good. The first 4 items on the agenda, when our town attorney looked through our contracts, there's 3 from Commerce and 1 from the Department of Health, and all of them have something that's called either a copyright, they're both in all the contracts, it's like this long, it's like a 2 or 3 sentence little clause. And it's either called copyright or work for hire clause that says in all those contracts that the work product that is developed as a result of these grants becomes the Department of Commerce's property or the Department of Health's property. She doesn't like that. She said that that's a standard template they're using and that particular clause does not apply to the work that's being done on all 4 of these contracts. And so just kind of the principle of the thing, she doesn't like it. So she didn't tell us that till yesterday. So immediately Joshua contacted his 3 people. Joe contacted his person at the Department of Health. By the time of this meeting, we've only heard back from 1 of Joshua's. And he basically said, yeah, we'll change it. We'll change it, and sent Joshua some new wording that he sent to Nikki. She said, well, yeah, it's better, but she wishes they would just take the clause out. But quite frankly, I said to Nikki, if they won't take the clause out, are you telling us we have to turn down a $100,000 grant? Because that's gonna be a problem for me. And she said, no, it was just the principle of it. So she has asked, but she wants us to still try and get that, either the clause removed or reworded. So she has asked that when we approve the agenda, if you approve the contracts tonight, that you add into the motion somewhere that you're authorizing the approval of these contracts with changes made acceptable to the town attorney. If you wouldn't mind adding that to your motion. Okay, so with that, because that's going to apply to the next 4 items, we'll start with Joe. Joe has a
You just wanted to note there's no public audience.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, I didn't note that. Is there there's no one else online except Joe Grogan. Joe Grogan, our Public Works Director, is online. Should have noted for the record that all 5 of the council members are here, and we have Chris Jolly and Joshua Engelbright, our staff members, are here. Okay, thank you for reminding me. No presentation. Okay, so our first item is new business is Joe's big grant for $20,000 with the Department of Health for a water reuse study. Joe, do you want to give just a very quick little summary of what this feasibility study? I don't know if you saw my staff report I wrote for you, Joe, but I highlighted and bolded the word feasibility like you asked me to.
So I do want to.
Oh, we can't hear you, Joe.
Oh.
That might be us.
Oh, Joshua says that might be us.
How about now? Can you hear me?
We can't hear you yet. Joshua's working on it.
It's white now.
Try now, Joe.
Oh,
How about now? Can you
no,
hear me?
it's white. No. Just keep talking, Joe.
Interesting.
Should I sing you a song?
That's good. He can hear us.
Good trick.
Okay, I don't think it's us. Our speakers are good.
But Josh, what does it matter? Do you see that the green line keeps coming and going around Joe's screen? See that?
Yeah.
Does that matter?
Well, it means that
it's
he's
detecting that he's
We're
talking.
he's talking. It just is not going through.
He's gonna maybe find out and come back.
I'm working on it.
Maybe he's gonna get on the phone or something.
Well, I was thinking that because we didn't
How
hear
about
the
now? Can you hear me
recording,
now?
it might be the speaker.
Right.
But
Oh,
That's something.
yeah, so that's me adjusting the volume.
Might not be good.
So it should be okay on our end.
Joe, we can't figure it out on our end, but we still cannot hear you.
I'm working on it. Mhm.
Okay, so listen, Joe, we're gonna skip you and start with Joshua. Joshua, if he calls in, can he speak? Or we don't know if that will work. You could try to do that.
You could try to do that. I mean, we could also take a phone and put it to a microphone too, that would work.
If he calls you personally,
Or anyone personally.
well, not me, because my phone doesn't work down there.
Not me.
Yeah, if he wants to either keep trying through GoTo or call me, either way.
He's on a call.
I need to.
What?
Exactly.
I'm too old to adapt.
Okay, so if the council doesn't mind, let's start with Joshua's contracts, and then we'll see if we can get Joe back. If we can't get Joe back, I can tell you about the grant, but it's a very interesting grant that you might have some questions
Let's
for
just
him.
start with,
Okay,
so
so
he's
Josh,
texting Joe right now.
oh, he's texting.
But
He can
I can hear you, I can do
He can
both.
multitask.
He's on his phone now.
How about now? Can you hear me?
We
No.
still can't hear you. Okay, Joshua,
Mhm.
we're gonna start with you. So let's start with your Department of Commerce, $100,000 climate element comp
Okay.
plan grant.
So as part of the kind of 2023 to 2025 periodic updates for comprehensive plans, the Department of Commerce made a lot of changes, or the state legislature made a lot of changes to the Grant Management Act in those 2 years. And then as a result, Department of Commerce basically is giving everyone a lot of money to do with that. And so this is one of our periodic update grants specifically focused at the climate change element. So that's a new requirement under the Growth Management Act. They're giving us $100,000 to implement it. In the larger jurisdictions, that comes with like a greenhouse gas emission inventory. We are not subject to that, but we would pursue a resiliency sort of sub-element. And so that's part of like this broader climate change related comprehensive planning process. And so that's what this money is for. There's a public outreach and public participation process outlined in the scope of the grant. And this grant is going to be paired with our Department of Ecology grant, not on this agenda. And using kind of those funds together, we are planning on doing our coastal adaptation strategy, which is a second step to our sea level rise vulnerability assessment, pairing that with this climate element periodic update to sort of leverage all of those funds to develop a plan and a climate policy until 2045. So that's this grant. And I think for both the climate $100,000 grants, they are split by fiscal year. So summer 2024 is the cutoff for like the year one funds, which is 50,000 for each. Summer 2025 is year two. And so in both in this instance, we'll try to hire someone really quick and then they have 3 months to spend $50,000. So, but that's this one so far. And ideally, everything moves forward and I'm sending the Whidbey News Times the notification that we're going to be putting out RFPs on Saturday.
If this is approved tonight.
If this is approved tonight, yes.
Okay, that's a great summary. Does anybody have any questions for Joshua on this first grant?
I move to authorize the mayor to sign a grant contract with the Department of Commerce for $100,000 to conduct Town of Coupeville's periodic comprehensive plan update once the changes are made that are acceptable to the town attorney.
A second?
No, almost. That's the next motion. This is the one for the climate element, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Climate element.
So you just gotta get the words climate element within the comprehensive plan.
So I don't understand what you're saying, I'm just reading what's here.
It's a different one, Jackie.
Oh, sorry, somebody else can do it.
I moved to authorize the mayor to sign a grant contract with the Department of Commerce for $100,000 to develop the town of Coupeville's climate element within the comprehensive plan.
A second?
With
Changes
change.
acceptable to the town attorney.
With changes acceptable to the town attorney.
I second. Okay. Wow. Moved by Jenny, seconded by Pat. Any to approve this Department of Commerce's grant for the climate element of the comp plan. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Now Jackie will do the next one.
Okay, I was gonna do it. Obviously, I'm not tracking correctly.
No, you are, that's the next one. Okay, Joshua, the next one is another $100,000 grant.
Yep, another $100,000, very similar periodic update. This one specifically is going to encapsulate our housing related work. So as part of the previous comprehensive plan, we had made plans to work on a housing needs analysis to like work through some of those larger population and housing related issues. This money will be going towards that. Very similar process with like a public outreach and both of that. So both of those two grants are Department of Commerce pretty standard templates, but we expect that this will be primarily focused on housing and sort of updates to those and then to those elements, and then as sort of needed updates to the remainder of the comprehensive plan. Hopefully the transportation element, the capital facilities, all the things we did last year are adopted at last year. Won't need too much updating rates. It should be pretty solid. So hopefully just the housing will be, and like the land use and all of the things that are needing to be updated, those will be taken care of by this grant. And similar, if this is approved today, the RFP can go out by Saturday.
That one's ready also?
Oh, this one is ready. The
Climate one is.
The climate one is not ready because we're waiting on the other Department of Ecology grant to then have the RFP for that scope of work
Also.
Okay, so I do have another RFP that's ready to go, but this one for sure can go out on Saturday. And that will start kicking off our update process, which is due June 2025. So about a year and a half.
Okay, excellent. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I move, I can't find the motion. Not in the material, but. Okay, I move to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the grant contract with changes acceptable to the town attorney with the Department of Commerce for $100,000 to conduct the town of Coupeville's periodic comprehensive plan update.
A second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Jenny, to approve Department of Commerce grant for $100,000 to use on the comprehensive plan update. Any questions or comments? Oh, you have a question?
I do have a question. Joshua, last year, we talked about having a consultant help us with the different types of housings that could be provided. Is that different than this?
No, I think that would most likely fall under the either update to the climate element or the housing needs analysis. So I think that's probably where that would slide in.
Because we wanted more information about the different levels, and I'm not, I had a question about middle housing. It seems like middle housing is a certain category of housing, but we were gonna also look at, people had questions about tiny homes or, all those things. So that's part of all of that.
Housing needs, yeah,
Okay.
this will be the housing needs.
Okay, thank you.
He'll explain why this is so specific when we get to that. Is that?
No, that's good.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, and the third one Joshua has is another Department of Commerce for $35,000.
Yes. So this grant so Jesse applied for this grant in like the last week he was here, and he got it and
Didn't expect to get it.
didn't expect to get it, and now we're figuring out what to do with it. So broadly, this money from the Department of Commerce was set aside to help municipalities align their development regulations with House Bill 1110, which is the middle housing bill. In that bill's requirements, there are things like allowing multiple units per lot, going up and scaling with access to transit and other types of things for larger jurisdictions, and then those that are within the urban growth area of those larger jurisdictions. That is a little bit, that's outside of the scope of Coupeville, right? We do not fall under any of those size thresholds, so we're not technically required to implement House Bill 1110. But a lot of the regulations and the state laws are aligned with some of the comprehensive plan goals of providing smaller units and working towards more affordability. That's something that we talked about sort of at a high level in last year. And so this money is specifically targeted at our town code, which we would update sort of in line with our existing comprehensive plan. And we can use that money to rework some of our existing ordinances, like our cottage housing, like our planned unit development, look at parking standards, look at all of the stuff that currently exists and how we can shift it towards being more aligned with this new state sort of intent and direction.
To support middle housing.
To support middle housing, right? So we're in sort of an interesting spot where we have a lot of flexibility to further the intent of this without having to specifically line up with those like mandated dwelling unit per lot type requirements. And so hopefully the goal is to hire a consultant and go through another public engagement process looking at how we make those changes, in respect to Coupeville and how it lines up with that, and then ultimately have a ordinance that would update our development regulations. And then if everything works out timing-wise, we could use those updated development regulations as part of our buildable lands analysis for the updated comprehensive plan, right? Because that way we have those kind of specific numbers and development standards to project what like growth would look like in 20 years as we move through our comprehensive plan process. So that's that grant. It has a little bit shorter time frame. It's the scope provided by Commerce ends at the end of January 2025, where everything else is wrapping up in June 2025. So, but it might go, it has that sort of smaller or more condensed timeline so that hopefully we can capitalize on its work with our comprehensive plan and sea level rise and all those other kind of projects going on. And I believe this is also similar where half of it will need to be spent, half of it will need to be invoiced in fiscal year 2024, half of it will need to be invoiced in fiscal year 2025.
Joshua, is it House Bill 1110 or House Bill 110?
It's 1110.
1110, four
In the
digits.
motion, the number's wrong.
Oh, yes.
Incorrect.
Oh.
So whoever reads the motion, it's 1110 instead of 100.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a grant contract with the Department of Commerce for $35,000 to update the town development regulations impacted by House Bill 1110, and with changes acceptable to the town attorney.
All right.
Second.
Moved by Rick, seconded by Mike. Guys, I've got this down. Any other questions? Any other questions for Joshua on this grant? Okay, yeah.
And this is more for me to try to figure out all these parts that are moving, so I'm glad you understand it all. So I don't know if this is middle housing, if it's in housing options, but back in my day, I always wanted to say that. Back in my day, when I was going to college, there'd be these big houses that had been divided into apartments. Is that something that is in that middle housing, or it's potentially somewhere else, or not at all? Because we have all these big houses, and sometimes it's hard to find somebody to buy those houses because.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably fits very nicely at the intersection of historic Coupeville and middle housing, right? It depends on, right, the ownership and how these big houses are defined, right? If they are condos or if they are apartments owned by the same person, but they're divided up, but it certainly would fall on some spectrum of these are technically duplexes or triplexes or, quadplexes, right? Like all of those things are possible. And I think that's something that where I'm from in Iowa City, which is a big college town, a lot of those old 100-year-old homes are studios that have been cut up into, 7 one-unit bedrooms. And so, but it still looks like a single family house from the outside. So yeah, I think that I don't know where it fits in terms of like the $35,000 grant development regulations or in our housing element, but it is somewhere in there.
Because I had talked to 2 people that both own big historic houses that in the past have tried to sell them and had a lot of trouble selling them because they're so big. And it also provides, from my perspective, a really affordable way for people to live in Coupeville, but not change this sort of character.
Kind of like B&B's here.
Yeah, exactly. Always looking.
And
No, you're talking about, but are you talking about historic homes? Or any big homes?
Yeah, and a lot of them happen to be historic.
And the $35,000 development regulations, that could also go towards implementing certain subdivision regulations, like unit lot subdivision, other types of ownership where it's a little bit easier for a property owner or someone who's trying to sell property to not sell the land and the building, but so like sort of like a condominiumization process, but there are sort of up and coming techniques for land ownership and that type of thing, and that could be addressed as part of this as well. And so that might make it easier for, to split something up where people could then own individual,
Or also addressed in the housing needs assessment, and then the regulations to make some of these things we would like to do happen in the regulation part. This little grant is mainly to work on our regulations in housing.
Well, and along with what you were saying, I look at, let's say we have 9,600 square foot zoning in our house. We have potentially 3 lots, but our house is kind of in the middle. Not that we did it, but of like lot averaging. So instead of having another 9,600 square foot lot, you leave a big lot and have a little lot that somebody can buy and put a little home on. Is that kind of?
Yeah, I would have to specifically look at.
No, it doesn't matter where it goes.
Yeah, but
Well, those are the
yeah,
kinds of things we'll
absolutely.
be
Those
discussing with
types
the
of things,
public in the housing needs assessment. Yeah.
Are you gonna rent some rooms in your house?
Any other questions on this grant? Any other questions, Pat?
No.
Okay. Anybody dare to make a motion?
We'll make the motion, go ahead and vote.
Oh, you already made it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, thank you. Okay, Joseph, I don't know if we can hear you.
His phone looks like it's on.
We'll try it again. Can you hear me now?
Shoot, we still can't hear you.
Crap. I
Joe,
called
can you call
in.
Josh?
Well, okay, Joe, is it, nod your head if it's okay if I just like talk about this grant and give them a summary
Yeah,
of it?
It's-
Okay.
just
So this is a
feasibility.
Department of Health grant. This is not one that was just given to us. Joe applied for this grant and received it. But it is going to fit nicely and work with the state's new requirements to reduce our nutrient levels of our treated wastewater that is discharged into Penco. But this grant is specifically to do a feasibility study. Joe wants to be very clear that this is just a study of that he hopes that they will look at different ways to treat our wastewater and different ways to use that. And that the study not only just tells us different ways we can do that, but recommends a preferred way to reuse our wastewater, and that this grant is large enough that maybe it will be able to include some engineering or some pre-design work on whatever they recommend and the council and the town wants to consider. Shoot, that's about all I would say, Joe, on this grant.
I think that's.
I don't know if you can
It
hear
is
me now.
it is a really interesting grant. Very, very interesting grant. And Joe is also, the scope of work, they have to work, Josh and Jesse and Donna and Joshua and Jesse and Donna and Joe all have to work so hard and put so much detail into the scope of work for these grants to be approved, that they're really set up really well to go right out to bid on them. So I think Joe feels that he was ready that this will go out to bid by sometime in the first quarter of this year, I believe. Yep, okay.
Good job, Joe.
Good work, Joe.
It is a really big deal. I mean, this was a big grant application process, and this is a big grant to get, to do a study this size for our little town. And I will also tell you, it probably has a lot to do with the fact that Joe sits on a state board that has been very involved in looking at how they're going to change those regulations for nutrient discharge into the Salish Sea, so in all the waters on the west coast of Washington. He's been very involved in that and very involved with the grant process as far as evaluating other grants coming in from other water systems. Obviously, he was not involved in evaluating our own grant. Okay, does anybody want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the interagency agreement with the Department of Health for $220,000 to conduct a wastewater reuse, quote, feasibility, unquote, study with changes acceptable to the town attorney.
Second.
Moved by Rick, seconded by Jenny. Anybody have a question that maybe I can answer?
No question.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope. Congratulations, Joe. Now you get to do a whole bunch of work.
The joy of grant.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is an auto usage policy and driver evaluation point system, and quite frankly, this is required by our insurance. This is something that the town has not had. We have personnel policy that relates to random drug testing and our employees with commercial driver's licenses, but we don't just have a basic overall auto usage policy. So our insurance company is requiring it, and they sent me several examples of policies that they approve of, and I kind of took one that I thought was best for us and kind of modified it for us, and I took the easiest evaluation system they sent us. There was another one that was way more complicated than the one included in your packet. Made all the changes, sent it to Joe, since he has most of the employees that drive town vehicles. He said it looked good to him. So we're basically filling an insurance requirement with this policy.
And sorry about that, but I do have just a couple comments.
Okay.
But maybe somebody wants to do a motion first.
I'll make a motion to approve the town of Coupeville auto usage policy and driver evaluation point system.
Second.
Okay, moved by Jackie, seconded by Mike.
So,
Take that.
on whatever page 96, the first page, item
Number
number,
96.
well,
Of the
in
packet.
my packet.
Oh, in the packet page.
Well,
Oh,
we-
okay.
It's
Okay.
hard for us. It's page 1 of 2
Okay,
for
great,
you.
great.
Item number 2, it says at the last sentence, the town will order a current abstract driving record at the time of employment. And I think it should be prior to the offer of employment. Because if you go to page 1 of 4, later on, it says at the top, the purpose of the driver evaluation point system is to determine eligibility for an employee when driving is a function. Number 1, page 1. Anyway, I think you need to, before you order it, if driving is a part of it, you probably should get the ADR to review before you hire them. It's kind of like if you are hiring somebody to write, you want to give them a writing test as part of the interview, because if you don't, you could hire somebody that ends up not writing, and I've run into that before where that's almost happened.
Mhm. We did this once, actually fairly recently, Joe and I did. We hired someone. No, I don't know if we hired him. I think we offered him a job, but our hiring letters always say your job offer is contingent on your background check. We can now make it say,
Okay.
on your background check and driving check. And we actually did, if we made the formal offer, we rescinded it based on the driving record.
Yep, and I see where I was going with this page 104, the top of that says, the purpose of it is to determine eligibility for an employee when driving is a function of the job. So one says you do it after, and one says to determine if they're eligible.
You have not done, no, you have not done this yet. Okay, so I was gonna say, I don't know how long they take to get those records, if we get them right away.
Well, it's very weird, in my estimation, to hire somebody and then later let them go, if you can avoid it.
Okay, employees may not operate the vehicle, the town will order a current ADR at the time of employment. So
Just say prior to employment or something.
are you okay with that, Joe, saying prior to employment, we're gonna do these?
I think you might need to get the employees okay as part of the application. That part of the application is to check their ADR.
I agree with that, yes.
See, we do that permission for background check and driver check
After you hire them.
as part of their new hire paperwork.
Oh my God.
Well,
Our
because,
attorney wouldn't let us hire them without background check.
they have to give a lot of personal information in order to do that check, and we don't usually ask for that on all applicants.
Well, the one you choose though. So we're talking about the final candidate.
So after interviews, you're saying, okay.
Well, you've decided to hire the person, then you do the background check typically, and you could do the ADR.
So, but you're saying we decided to hire him, but we haven't offered him the job?
Yeah.
Shoot. I hope we can do these fast, Joe, so we don't lose what little candidates we get. Take these jobs.
It's available within 24 hours.
Is it?
Yeah, when you use the License Express
Okay,
in the state of Washington.
okay. So what is the rest of the council agrees with that? Beforehand?
Sounds very reasonable to me.
Okay, so let's see, so what are we changing? The town will order a current, before, so you wanted to say the town will order a current abstract driving record before an offer of employment? Okay, before.
The other one is fine.
Can we legally do that without them being employed?
Well, you can, just like a background check, I don't know about a background check, but you can, as part of their application, and they sign the approval that you can do it if they're going to offer the job, not before.
Yeah, you have to get their approval to do the background
Yeah.
check also.
So you do both.
is made. Okay, so then that is still consistent with the next, with,
It's consistent with the first
Evaluation.
sentence, yeah.
okay. Employment driving, eligibility, okay, got it. Okay, everybody good with that change? Okay, anything else, Pat? Okay, so we've already got the motion.
Now, move to amend my motion to include that change that Pat has requested.
Okay,
Second, with the changes.
okay, moved by Mike to amend his original motion to include the change, and seconded by Jackie.
Chris, did you get the change or?
Technically, we're supposed to vote on the change.
Yep.
So all in favor of the change, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, all in favor of the motion to approve the auto usage policy and the evaluation point system, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Got it.
Yeah, surprisingly. I think put you on speaker.
Thank
if
you.
want. They just did, yeah.
Okay, let's see. The next one is a cabaret license. Cabaret licenses along with all other,
The license number,
oh yeah, what number do you want to say?
it's supposed to be CL.
CL 24-001.
Yeah, it was a typo.
Okay. Chris needs us to change our motion to say CL, Cabaret License 24-001. So cabaret licenses are part of all the licenses that are now part of Chris's responsibility. Do you have anything to say about this?
No.
Speaks for itself, right? There's that
Pretty
report.
much, yeah.
Pretty simple.
It makes it beer.
We usually get one or two of these. Since we did this, he has gotten another application from Tai. Where's
Tyee.
Tai? So we'll be bringing that to the next one. And our ordinance says that the town council approves cabaret licenses. Does anybody want to give me a motion?
Sure, I'll make the motion to approve the cabaret license, number CL 24-001 issued to Green Code Brewing Company.
Second.
Seconded, I think Jenny got the second on that one. Moved by Rick, seconded by Jenny. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. The next item is appointment of a town rep to the EV's trust board. And this, we find ourselves in a wonderful situation that we never usually find ourselves in, and that was having two excellent candidates for a trust board position. And so I am going to recommend that you appoint Alex Roos. Maybe I'm sure some of you know her. She is very uniquely qualified as being, she lives in the town, farms right outside the town limits. She has taken over her Uncle Dale's, her and her husband have taken over Liz and Dale's Pioneer Farm, and now it's Scenic Isle Farm. They continue to grow Heritage Sugar Hubbard squash and pumpkins and other vegetables. They run a farm stand in the summer. So she has that's the main reason I'm recommending her for this position. We have one hobby farmer on the trust board right now. We have no farmers on the trust board, which is like the first time that's happened in a really long time. And since the protection of the agricultural lands and the reason the whole reserve was created in the first place was to protect those agricultural lands and prevent large housing developments. I think it's important that we have a farmer on the trust board. She also has a unique perspective as having worked for a short time in the trust board office and being the executive director when the Friends of EVs was first founded, and I believe she held that position for maybe 5 years. So that's the fundraising arm of the trust board that raises funds for the EVs Forever grants. So she's got a lot of family connections, a lot of inside knowledge about the functions of the trust board, and I have attached her application. Oh, by the way, I have talked to Dawn Keeler about this. She was another person that said that she would be interested. Did talk to Donna about this before making this recommendation to you. Told her why we really need a farmer. She agreed, and she said that she hopes that we will consider her for the next opening. And she kind of said, I hope that soon, because I really like the opportunity to work with Alex. I really like her. So
I move to appoint Alex Bruce as a Town of Coupeville representative to the East Landing National Historical Reserve Trust Board.
Second.
Moved by Pat, seconded by Mike. Any questions?
Well, I'm an enthusiastic supporter of Alex for all of those reasons.
Okay, great.
I don't have a question, I hope that we can get some, reports from her periodically. I just feel like we've sort of been out of the loop as far as getting any feedback, what's going on up there.
At the trust board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
she doesn't have to come to meetings, but if, periodically she could give us a written.
Yeah, that would be a good.
Yeah, Lisa used to do that for us
Yeah.
and we fell away from that.
Do it.
And, yeah. Okay, I will absolutely
That's a great idea, Jackie.
ask for that from her or any of our three representatives on the
Remind me
trust board.
who our others are.
But it might be a good thing to get her, right away, just see if she would agree to do that, because I think it would just lend a different voice.
Mhm.
Who are the others who are?
Lisa Bernhardt and Jennifer Schwartz from the county, Schwartz in the Natural Resources Department for the county, but she's our representative on the trust board.
Yeah, from
We've got
somebody
three-
would be good, because I have no idea what's going on.
Three good reps. Okay. I will do that. Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, now this is our time of year to appoint and to make annual appointments to some of the boards and commissions that the town is asked to appoint specifically an elected representative to. And they are the Coupeville Island County Tourism Committee. Is that the correct name?
No, but it's fine for right now.
Okay. And currently Jackie is our representative and she's also currently the chair of that board. The second appointment we have is to Island Transit Board of Directors. Currently Jenny Bright is our representative. Could be possibly stepping up to be chair of that position. I don't know. They have to vote on that. And the last one is Island County Law and Justice Council. Currently Mike is our representative on that rigorous council.
A lot of work.
Meets all
Somebody
the
has to do it.
time.
I move to approve Councilmember Jackie Henderson as the Town of Coupeville representative to the Island County Tourism Committee.
Second.
Jackie, do you accept that?
I will for one more year, because I have agreed to be chair for one more year. Cool. And after that, be somebody else's turn.
Okay,
So,
thank you, Jackie.
Giving you all fair warning.
Well, that's a big job. We appreciate you doing it.
It is.
And it's had a lot of work lately.
Oh, my God.
Especially lately without Sherry.
Well, yeah. Okay, all those in favor of appointing Jackie Henderson as the town's representative to Island County Tourism Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
I will move to appoint Jenny Bright to the position, or to the Island Transit Board of Directors.
I second.
Thank you. Moved by Jackie, seconded by Pat. Jenny, do you accept that nomination?
Cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you for serving. All those in favor of appointing Jenny Bright to the Island Transit Board of Directors, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next one, anybody want to move for the?
I move to approve Councilmember Mike Moore as the Town of Coupeville representative to the Island County Law and Justice Council.
Second.
Okay, Mike, do you accept? Okay, thank you very much for doing that. All those in favor of appointing Mike Moore to the Island County Law and Justice Council, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. All righty. And the last thing on our list of new business I have is approving our December 2023 payroll and the December AP transactions. Now, I handed out tonight at the beginning of the meeting a new packet with a new a motion on the bottom of it. There was a mistake in the reporting. Okay, in the packet, AP was correct. It correctly showed you all of our AP transactions for December, but the wrong report was run for payroll. So you saw the November payroll instead of the December payroll. Okay, so I've given you a correct copy of the December payroll and it changed the number also a little bit. A lot.
Okay, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the December 2023 payroll transactions for a total of $113,692.70. And the December 2023 accounts payable transactions and checks number 10186 to number 10233. And the EFT payments as attached for a total of $269,376.99.
Second.
Oh, I see.
Moved by Rick, seconded by Jenny. Jenny, did you second?
Yes.
Okay. I can probably tell you why there's a big difference between November and December. December is the month that people can cash out vacation time. December is a month that people technically, a lot of times cash out comp time. And December is the month where people try to zero out their, what are those called, those medical?
FSAs.
Yes. If they don't spend it by December, they lose it. And those reimbursements are done through their payroll check. So it would be part of that total of the payroll, but not, they don't get taxed in Social Security on that. So we've got some receipts that came in on that. Anybody trying to use up their clothing allowance was doing that in December. That also is paid as a reimbursement on payroll. So that would be the reason why it would be higher than November. Some of the reasons, yeah.
I have a question, and it's more curious.
Okay.
So maybe Rick can answer this. I may have missed this in previous one, but what is Smiley's Pro Service?
Which is what?
Smiley's Pro Service?
Oh, I think that's the ones that do the cleaning. Is that the cleaning?
No, there was another
No,
cleaning
I-
one.
One of them is, might be, I'm looking at.
What's the amount, Pat? I don't remember this.
It's,
It's $1,652.
isn't that the advertisements and stuff like that?
2011 transaction number. Okay. I didn't mean to stump anyone.
Wow, but that's
Just
weird,
like it.
that's weird that it does stump Rick and I, because we go through all of these. Smiley's Pro Service.
Well, what was it again?
Smiley's Pro Service.
It's a metal fabrication shop.
Metal fabrication. Oh,
So
so
I
maybe
got on it.
Oh, that sounds like a Joe receipt.
Joe one.
That's where I think they got the panels to replace in the bathroom.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
That makes sense. Okay.
good. You did almost stump the
I
team.
didn't
That was
mean to.
good.
Can't stop Google.
Thank you, Jenny.
Sure.
Anything else, Pat? Anybody else have any questions on the payroll or AP? Okay, all those in favor of,
I used Smiley's
Oh, wait.
machine shop last month for a headwork screen for about $1,600.
for a headwork screen. Thank you, Joe.
What's that headline?
That was that big part in the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, okay.
So it was a piece of that giant $100,000 replacement. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Sounds good.
Okay, all those in favor of approving our December payroll and AP, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okey dokey, look at us. Okay, so we have staff reports, and Joshua took it upon himself to not just make a staff report for December, to give us a little year in review.
Yeah.
Planning and
Good job.
dashboard. Mhm.
Excellent.
Mhm. And I loved what he said to me. He said he especially wanted to put in the information on the COAs, the certificates of appropriateness, because people like to say that going through design review, it takes a long time and it holds up their permits and it comes at the system,
That is good.
where he can show that what did the average time was 5 days?
Yeah, depending on,
That's a.
depending on the day, I think in total it's 25 days, but it ranges from 6 to 48.
Depending on whether it's approved administratively in-house, or goes to the reserve committee, or has to go to the full HPC. But even going to the full HPC, 25 days, that's not even a month.
I think it was a little bit more than that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to point out, Joshua, or any questions for Joshua?
I thought it was very interesting. I have a question. I'll ask this without, it's not a trap. Do you ever enumerate when you have to, in those rare cases, enforce?
Enforce code?
Like when you go out to a site, or Joe goes out, or, that takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
You mean, do we ever keep track of enforcement or stop work orders, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and I know stop work orders is a pretty big deal, but
But they happen.
yeah, they do
Quite
happen.
often.
Yeah, we have records and they're in like the address files. I don't think that, they are not included in my sort of Excel sheet that I
Okay.
use to track things, and so.
So what you have down here doesn't include those kinds of things?
Mhm.
Okay.
No.
And I'm not saying you should, it's just interesting. And then I noticed a lot of short-term rentals for applications that are coming in for this year. And I wondered if any of that is due to the town following up on some of those short-term rentals that are not. And then also, I know there have been some short-term rentals in residential zones that aren't allowed. And do we have any of those under discussion?
Yeah, so the 13 that are active, that was throughout 2023 and then going into 2024, these are the ones that will be expiring in 2024. Yeah, some of them are a combination of a person has complained, or we've noticed that it's operating and then we've reached out to them and they're, they check all the boxes where they can operate, and so then we get them into compliance.
Okay.
There's been a couple where they've come in for a short-term rental application, or someone has said, my neighbor the cars are changing every couple days, and then we've told them, you can't operate. A couple of them were also old, like conditional use permits that were issued before the ordinance changes, that they were then, grandfathered in and brought into compliance. And so it's sort of a smattering of all of those. And usually the bed and breakfasts, I think, are primarily residential zoned ones.
Because the STRs can't be in the residential.
Right, and so only under the circumstances where they were grandfathered in prior to the 2019 ordinance changes where those come in, and then we make sure that they are renewing with regularity, so we can keep track of them.
But all short-term rentals have to renew annually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just want to, on like responding to neighbors' complaints or people that walk in, I kind of just want to amplify all the time that planners spend at the counter or on the phone dealing with things that don't show up in the statistics.
Oh, yeah.
But that's true,
For sure.
a lot of different.
For every department. Yeah. Yeah, so we do enforcement by complaint, and we also, as far as like short-term rentals, periodically look through the listings, Airbnbs, Dreamlist, that kind of thing, and find things that way and send out letters.
Is that something on Chris's radar now too?
No, that's part of the planning department.
It's already a lot.
Planning department is enforcement.
That's a sign.
Yeah. Sign enforcement, we're doing a sign enforcement right now, so yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess the two things that I'll bring up, the average time and process is calendar days, right? So it includes weekends.
Oh.
I'm not that good at Excel. I don't know how to just do the
Business day.
business days. So it's probably a little bit higher than like the actual work days dedicated to. And then sort of looking to the future, right? A lot of it is in progress already because we are approving those grants, but we have the planning department has a total of $331,000 and $331,900 going towards like the next couple years of grants. And so that's exciting. And so we'll certainly be busy with that. Yeah. But yeah, most of the things, the only other thing that I will bring up is we're updating our Evie's Landing National Historical Reserve Design Guidelines. That's another project that's in the works that's being taken on by the reserve. And so that'll be another thing that we'll be working on this year, which I'm excited for.
Good job. Excellent report.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Joshua on that report? Okay, and then you also have a kind of a year-end report from the sheriff, because he's got all of his different types of calls totaled for the year. That's always interesting to look at. It's interesting that and I think this is the same case every single year, that the highest number of our calls are 911 hang-ups.
Which is good.
That is good. That is good. Not a high crime rate town we are.
Although they usually have to go visit them.
They do. That's why they're listed. It doesn't mean they're easy. There's still a call that has to be addressed. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to another great year.
Is
The
the
Marshal's
staff,
Department,
is Bo staying on?
Yep.
Okay.
as far as I know.
Why did you say that?
No one's told me differently, so I'm just going with that. Okay, and then the last report is Joe's report. There's his pretty new Vector truck that everybody in his department is excited about. And then the other picture, I think that's one of the pumps, looks like a pump going down into a lift station. Some of those, remember we got 2 pumps paid for, like the Beaver. It took forever to get them because of COVID and, it just took forever. Does Joe have anything he wants to add?
Doesn't sound like it. He's not on screen, so we're on phone, but do you have anything specific you want to mention about the staff report or not really?
No, thank you. I'll do a better presentation next month.
Wasn't your fault, not your fault, Joe. That's the way it goes. The big part of their December is putting up Christmas lights November actually, getting ready for December. Everybody was happy with that. Okay, so no questions on the staff reports?
They must be getting ready for the snow that's coming.
They are ready. They have salt, they have sand, they have de-icer. Joe ordered some de-icer, something that the town of Coupeville has never used before. So he did a lot of research on it last year and talked to the county about what they use. And so he ordered some that he wants to try this year.
And I'm glad they're ready because then the snow won't come.
I've got the
I
plows
think the cold's coming.
in the shop, yes.
Yeah, the cold.
Cold, well, and Bo told me tonight that there was predictions of snow this weekend.
Friday.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, not a lot. And he said like predictions on Saturday, and I said, well, that makes perfect sense because, of course the snow would come when our guys are home, so we'll have to call them in for overtime if we have to do anything.
But at least probably on a weekend, there's not gonna be so many people out there.
Okay, that is excellent. Jackie, do you have a council report?
Oh, yeah, we've really been busy as a tourism group. We had to, put out our fees for all of our contracts, and that was just a monumental task. And we spent, I spent 2.5 days straight interviewing. We did 12 interviews in 2.5 days. Had a great team of us that did it. We did it via Zoom, which was a night. I mean, it all worked, but man, I hate doing it like that. I just hated it. And then yesterday we had to do 2 more. We had, with one of the positions, it was the really close thing, so we brought both people in for an in-person interview. So that all got decided. So we're slowly checking off all the things now we're supposed to be doing for the state auditor, but that was the biggie. So that's pretty much
Did
done.
you hire those then?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we don't hire, we
Oh, contract. I meant
contracts,
contract.
yeah. So we give out contracts. So we have hired, or we have a contract that will go out for Sherry's replacement. We're keeping Sherry staying on for a couple, well, just on a very part-time basis for January and February. She hasn't, has a new job, but she'll be available to us evenings and weekends a little bit, for questions and to help the new person come in.
Can you talk about the new person
Yeah,
hired,
it's,
or is it too early?
No, I can.
Yeah.
It's Inga, Maura, she's
From
on the
Langley.
chamber, the chamber director for Langley.
Okay, sounds good.
And, I met with her today, so, yeah, it's, it's just, there's just a lot going on. And we have to redo our interlocal with the 3 municipalities in the county, so that's the next thing we're gonna be working on, because it's so out of date. It's just incredibly out of date. It's like 10 years or more. There's just things in there that, we haven't been doing, and part of that is what got us in trouble, and it just, so we're gonna be working on that, and then we'll have to take that to all of the municipalities, so hopefully when it comes here, will be an easy one. So just, a lot going on. One of the neat things, the fun things we're doing is, and maybe I shared this with you before, but you remember the neat trail guide we put out? Well, we're working on a cultural guide, and it's gonna be just wonderful, and it's gonna be a little booklet, very much like the trail guide, but it's gonna talk about different cultural and historical places all through the county. And they're getting real close. First they had to narrow it down because there's so much history and culture in the county, but you can't have number one, we couldn't afford a huge thing. So we had to get it down to 24, I think.
Wow. Did you kind of like try to look at ones that aren't so well known like you did on the trails?
Not necessarily, but kind of, sort of. It was, the contract people that are working on it kind of started out really big, and then everybody kind of put in their 2 cents about, maybe we could combine these, like arts was, the arts are a really big thing in the company. And so at first it was like separating them out, and then that just we could do a whole booklet on just the arts in the county. And so there was things like that. So it's been a challenge for the contract people that are working on it. But I think that'll be out maybe by March. Yeah.
And you still have the same other contractors?
Pretty much, we've changed one, changed one. So, but otherwise it'd be, all the same. But it was interesting, we had some great applicants, and, whenever you get a lot of applications, you're sort of hoping that some of them just put something in for the heck of it, and we don't actually have to interview them. But everybody that submitted proposal, excellent. And so we interviewed everybody, and of course we had some same questions for everybody, but then depending on the position, we had to kind of tweak those questions, and so it was a lot of work. I was exhausted. It was 2.5 days. And if I would have known this when I agreed to be chair, I never would have agreed. But that's one of the things we probably will look at in the interlocal, is that right now it says it has to be an elected position that is the chair of the group. And there's just 4 of us. There's one county commissioner, and then an elected from each of the municipalities. The Oak Harbor, we have a new one from Oak Harbor, but he's just started, and the one previously was not that active. The one from Langley was the mayor, and he was not, he didn't run again, so we had nobody from Langley, and the commissioner was gonna change. So it was sort of me by process of elimination. I was the only one. So that's one of the things we want to look at. And the thing is, the interlocal is so old, I don't think there's probably anybody within the county or the municipalities knows why that was put in there. Why they stipulated that the chair had to be an elected official.
Well, the time I was on there, nobody from the county ever came.
Right.
I bet it was originally put in there since you're kind of a since you have to follow certain government rules,
That's what, yeah.
probably to make
Yeah.
sure that whoever was the chair knew what those rules were.
And that's kind of what we've surmised, or just that we're a little more attuned to, because the group is a quasi-governmental entity, so, we do know a little more. And I know for many years, I know when you were on their path, that I think the county commissioner was actually elected the chair, but the vice chair always ran the meetings, and that's what passed. Yes, that's a real trouble. So there were a lot of things that needed to be cleaned up, but the RFPs was the biggie, so.
And now you have all that hard work done, so you'll be able to sit back and
We
have
have
a
that
good year.
piece done. No, we have a lot, we have to do the interlocal and then the bylaws, and then there's some policies that we have to develop, so, but that was the biggest, yeah.
And then you'll have a new manager to manage.
But then she's, that.
Oh, but she's been on the
around,
commission.
So she
Yeah,
knows
okay.
the group, and we have a really good, it's an 18-person board, so it's a big board. But good people, really good people on there, had great, and then it's just tricky because when we were doing the interviews, kind of stipulates in the interlocal too, which I appreciate, that when you have, people working on things, that all parts of the county are represented. So when I was putting together these interview teams, I wanted to make sure I got somebody from South Whidbey, Central Whidbey, North Whidbey, and Camino. And luckily I did, and really good people, so. But just little things like that, electeds get kind of a little bent out of shape if they don't feel like their community's being represented well. So I've tried really hard, and people really have stepped up.
Well, good.
So it's a good group, and, it's interesting, I'm learning a lot, but it's just a little more work done. For nobody. Goodness of my heart. Anyway, that's all.
Thank you.
So Inga will probably be coming. She does want to go around and just introduce herself.
Oh, good, okay.
So she'll probably be coming at some point, and then she's probably going to do a big presentation to like the Council of Governments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Is that it?
that's it.
Okay. Michael, did you have a meeting?
No, I don't have anything, any report, but I did want to mention that I heard over the weekend that Al Sherman has, Al was a longtime member of the trust board that I served with him when I was on the board. Longtime member of the Coupeville community, although he was one of the farmer farmers that was on the board. So I just wanted to mention that for the record.
I served with Al on the trust board.
Yeah.
Wow, so think about how long ago that was. That was 16 years ago. Yeah.
There a long time.
Yeah, he was very active on the trust board.
Very active in all
And the
kinds of
community.
things.
Yeah,
Lions,
Lions. Al and his brother, Roger were stepped up with the parsers with the first conservation easements. I mean, they really made a huge, and it's really, he was a great guy.
How old was he? I didn't see that.
Someone told me he was 91.
Okay.
He was getting a couple years
Well,
old.
thank you for reminding us of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
worth noting.
yeah, it is.
Okay, Pat, do you have anything to report? Rick,
Yes, UIC had a meeting in December, and
are you
just
talking into the microphone? Are you guys getting it? You guys talking to the microphone?
UIC had a meeting in December, and just to bring you up to date on, we've had a couple of long-going running FEMA projects. So basically, the storm repair from 2 years ago, the storm that we had the headwork screen was replaced, and 2 lift station pumps have been replaced, and the work is now complete. Those 2 projects. The second one that's a FEMA project was the water line replacement on Engle Road has been completed. That's by Fort Casey. So that was done. So that was our
Big jobs,
long-term
3 big
FEMA.
jobs.
Yeah. As far as our new well, the new well RFP request for proposal is currently out and closes in a couple of weeks. The Parker sewer line design is complete, and the EPA Environmental Policy Act review should be finished by the end of this week. And the water extension to 4 homes on Madrona is complete, and I'm down there by the Kennedy Lagoon. That's it.
That's a big deal. Those customers paid for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's at the very end of our water line on Madrona, and it was a mess and went under the lagoon, and houses were hooked up illegally, and it was a big mess down there. And one of the homeowners down there wanted to get it straightened out, and she got everybody in line to do it, yeah. So not only is it all cleaned up for those residents, but a big portion of the water line got replaced on Madrona. Really big improvement. It's really nice. Okay, that's good. Jenny,
I've just got a couple of things. The acquisition.
pull your microphone over to you.
The acquisition of the tree seed farm was finalized at the end of December. So they're working with the Whidbey Camino Land Trust on any of these rollbacks, but nothing has been determined on what they're going to do with the property. And then on Tuesday, the 16th, this coming Tuesday, they're doing a rebranding opening at Island Transit. They're asking that if you do want to attend, if you would RSVP, you can call the general line, or if you follow them on Instagram, you can send them a direct message. They're just kind of trying to gauge how many people, but it's the first time in 36 years that there's any changes have been made to anything artistically when it comes to the rebranding. So they'll have buses, one of the Teslas, so you get to kind of see everything. And I think I mentioned in one of the prior meetings that the artwork is, I just think it's so phenomenal. And then as far as the.
Who did the artwork?
You know what, that is a good question. I can find out from Selena who ended up getting the bid on that. I just saw the final, they sent us a bunch of different variations. I know that it was local. Everything that they've been doing is to promote local.
I was curious, because that was one of the people where we interviewed several local people that do that kind of thing for one of the contracts. And I was just blown away by a couple of these folks who put in proposals, and when we interviewed them and they showed us their work, it was just like, oh. One was from Coupeville, and one was from Langley.
Wow.
I don't remember their names right now, just curious if it was somebody that we had.
What time is that on the
It's
16th?
at 10:30.
10:30.
10:30 on the 16th, and it's at the Coupeville campus here.
Mhm.
And and I think I mentioned that even just the color conventions, making sure that it was going to be something that if it was going to be printed or embroidered, that it all could be done locally. Because the more colors you have and the crazier it gets, the more difficult it is for somebody to have the machinery level to be able to do that. So, and then the other thing is, I just wanted to make mention that there is an Island Transit app, that it's Island Transit Go. And so it can be found at the Apple Store or the Google Store. And so I think a lot of people are unaware that they can use that app, especially for the on-demand travel. But it also allows you to kind of save your routes, save the trips that you have, and if you want to repeat it. So it's a nice little app, and I just think that it's being underutilized. So, but that's all I got. I had other notes, and I know I'm forgetting something, y'all, and I'm so sorry. I left them on the table.
If there is, if you can send me information or tell me who to contact at Island Transit for more information about that, I can put that in the newsletter.
About the app?
Yeah.
Sure. I can send you a couple things too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do such a nice job. I mean, even when you're, calling in to make your reservations, they have it, if you set it up, they will send you a text message when you're doing on demand, and they'll tell you within a couple of minutes, when your pickup is gonna be.
Wow.
And they've done a lot of things to, just kind of sort of further the process. And the exciting thing for me is that one of the newly launched on demand is in Camino. And that's been one of the most utilized.
Wow.
So that's been great. So that north end hasn't had any bus service. So this is the first.
North end?
North end of Camino?
Or the south?
South end of Camino.
Okay.
Thank you, sorry. No, not north.
That would be weird.
No, south end. But that's exciting. That's all I got. Ride the bus, it's
Thank
free. And they're hiring.
They're hiring.
Everybody's hiring.
$2,000 sign bonuses.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Okay, any other comments? Anything good for the cause? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you for coming.
It would be